ladies and gentlemen. The Kids in the Room podcast. The Kids in the Room podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Brought to you by Move Faces TV.
Woo! All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Kids in the Room podcast. Today we have the ONYX family on the show. All right, we've got Rita and Mirthell on the show. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Doing really well.
Awesome. And I hope I said everybody's name correctly, I wanted to bring you guys on the show. I was excited, wanted to talk to you guys and just kind of uncover the pros and cons of how you guys kind of got started. What kind of motivated you guys to even do such a thing, and like some of your pros and cons and trials and tribulations on the show. So yeah, could you tell us like how did you guys do this? What's going on?
Well, about 5 years ago, my husband, who was a marriage and family therapist and ordained minister of 17 years, left his position in order to support me to start a medical company as a nurse practitioner, which I was partnered with three other people. One was a doctor. And what we're going to do is in Florida, start a nurse practitioner based model medical company. And at the time, that's what I thought I wanted to do as a nurse practitioner. I had worked in several positions, and I always tell everybody that I juggled several jobs. I worked in the hospitals, clinics, retirement homes, psych, going home to home. I did everything. I was a professor, but nothing I found was really speaking to me like this is what I wanted to do. I just knew I wasn't quite I don't know, this may be simplistic, but I wasn't very content with what I was doing. So I thought, well, maybe this is the ticket. I will start a medical company. And actually I was asked to do this. So I thought, oh, great, this is coming to me. This must mean it's for me. But the problem is, as you're starting, you still have to work. So at the time I had like about 5 jobs and I was trying to establish that.
Wait,
and
5 jobs?
Yes.
Wow.
All at the same time. Telemedicine.
Well, it was all
psych,
surrounding around being a nurse practitioner.
Yeah,
So she basically was contracting with different medical facilities
yes.
and working with each one of them, partnering with these different medical facilities.
But 5 times simultaneously?
Yes, because you could do like telemedicine, you can do things like teaching, you could do psych. I was filling in for people when they were short on psych. I was working retirement home and in the hospital, and I was doing home to home. So yeah, it was stressful.
Right. And it was all on her because I'm Canadian. I was born and raised in Toronto. So when I left ministry and my marriage and family practice, I could not work in the United States at first until I got my work permit and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like she was kind of like holding it down for the first time by herself, because prior to that I had been working for 17 years and I'd been the primary breadwinner.
Wait, so were you guys in Toronto prior? Like, how did you guys
yes, we were.
Oh.
Well, I would say we were in Toronto.
And
but
Buffalo
I had, in the New York area, because that's where I was more working, or he was more working in Toronto. So we'd always had this crazy busy life where it was like
I'd have to cross the border and go into Canada to work, or she would have to, or she was in Canada and had to find work. So it was always that crazy thing. But for 17 years, I had been working in Toronto. And so when I left, I was leaving Toronto to go and be with her in Florida. And it was that was a challenge right there.
Yeah, it was. And so when we were there, I was just feeling like, man, what is it even going to be like when I start this medical company? And right now, if I'm not even seeing my kids or my husband right now, because I come home after being gone all day, maybe spend half an hour and then be charting all night, like till like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then repeat the same day, the next day. I was just like, what is this going to be like? So one day I was looking at YouTube and I was like, man, how do these people do this? Because I was looking at, people, bloggers and just lifestyle gurus. And I'm like, how do they do this? I want to live a life that seemed to me a great life. I didn't realize like how they got paid or anything, but I was just like, I also started to see some like kid comedy sketches with superheroes and things. And I thought, I have 4 kids. This would be so cute if my kids did like little skits and we started as a family. That's what my original intent was. So I got the kids in this room and I'm like, guys, been looking at this thing. What do you think about if we start our own like comedy skits? And at first they were like for a second, they were like, wait, what? Because they've been watching YouTube all this time, but I don't think they looked at it from the eye that I looked at it, like, oh, we can probably do something like this. And then my husband walks in and he's like, what are you guys talking about? Because at first I didn't want him to know, because I was like, man, he left his position to come all the way down to Florida
for her to be
support me and a medical
company, not putting M&Ms up my nose and
I didn't want to be
wearing
like
superhero costumes.
Right.
No.
Yeah. I didn't want to be like, oh, by the way, I want to, be a YouTuber now. No. But I didn't expect to do it full time. I just thought it would be a great family tool for us to spend time together, make some great memories. And if we got paid, great. Because prior to that, we had kind of started our own channels, but it was all separate channels. And we did not understand how things worked. So at that point, you could be monetized right away. So we were making, I think one of our daughters was making 26 cents. And we were like, oh my goodness,
cool.
This thing
Look
works. This is so amazing. Like 26 cents. Look where it could grow from there.
But we're still thinking, but where's the millions that everybody get?
Like,
right.
You can't do this full time.
Right.
So that's when I took about another month and I was like, I don't know. And I looked and that's when I started to see like the superheroes and other things. And I thought, okay, let's try this again. But this time let's do it together and let's do this. And so we only had like maybe about a month of just trying it by ourselves on separate channels.
Yeah, it was in the end of December.
Yeah, and then we decided, that's not gonna work. And then we just like a month later,
for like January and
together.
February, we're just like, and then she started researching, and then she came back to us like about end of February and was like, what do you guys think about doing this? And what's trending right now is superheroes. And when she came to me, like I surprised her. I was like, yeah, sure. I went to Party City. I went and got Batman outfits. I was Incredible Hulk at one time. And like, we got all the kids, Spider-Man, Spider-Girl, and came back and literally whatever magic shit she was working as far as like uploading schedules and keyword optimizations and all that stuff, it really hit the algorithm. And in 2 weeks, our channel just blew up. We got viral videos and it just really blew up.
Get out of here. So it just it just started snowballing after she just started doing some research with some tags and keywords, and you guys start focusing on superheroes, correct?
Right. We did our scheduling at certain times and things like that, and it just boom. It just shot up.
Wow. What tools do you
guys
use?
It changed our lives because, I mean, literally, I'm talking millions of views and a lot of money.
Right, because you guys have a lot of views and subscribers on your actual YouTube show itself. Yeah, so is that the only way you guys you guys have podcasting as well? You guys have other type of things going on as well?
Now we do. Before, at first, that's how we just started. And then we realized, okay, this is not our IP. We can't do superheroes and do anything with that. And so later on, she said, oh, you know what? I think we really need to brand. And we need to come up with something that is going to reflect our family. We can create our own set of values to it and, have something ourselves. And that's where we came up with the ONYX family.
Sweet.
Right.
And let me ask you a question too as well. Like you mentioned that you also had other channels prior. Is that correct?
Oh, I mean,
we just started it.
Like for like a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like we all thought I was going to be one of those toy people where you just open the toy on camera.
Yeah.
And, when I tried it, my kids were like, no, Mom, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Something about the way I did it. And I found it wasn't as easy because I was struggling with the packaging. I was just like, okay, there's got to be a better way here. And it was like, I already knew from the jump, okay, that is probably not going to work. But when we did superheroes together, we did that for about 9 months. And that's when, like Mirthell said, I was like, man, I see the potential here now. What if this was our own brand?
Right.
And that's when we, like you said, we came up with the ONYX brand, something that symbolized who we are. And what I felt like my kids are my jewels. So I had said, what would be a great name that would fit, what I was feeling about my family was, and I thought ONYX, because even though ONYX comes in different colors, most people think about it as black.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured, I felt like my kids are my jewels. So I said ONYX Kids. And then from there, we did ONYX Family and all of our other ONYX brands. But that original superhero channel, That's gone. So that's not even included in any of
Oh, no.
the stuff that we have now. Like we don't even have that channel anymore. And but
So
we were able to
you
learn
got
a
rid of
lot
the
through
actual
that.
channel that you had prior,
Yes.
the one that had millions of views.
Yeah, we actually had
Oh.
over 1 billion views
Right.
on that channel.
And
But that's
Wow.
we
gone.
deleted it. We completely deleted it. And part of the reason why we deleted it is because at the time there was there was an algorithm sort of thing going on for superhero channels, and we didn't want anything to do with that. They were kind of like,
Yeah, we wanted a fresh start.
we wanted a
We wanted
fresh start.
with the ONYX brand.
It was getting a bad rap. All superheroes was getting a bad rap at that
Right.
time, and
Because
we
there were
wanted to
people-
just completely.
There were people who were taking advantage of that. You know, when people saw that people were making money, instead of it becoming fun and innocent, adults started doing it. Some adults started doing it where it was
Sometimes it was weird.
Yeah, it was very weird. But there were a lot of families who were doing it where there was no problem. But unfortunately, you know how it is with YouTube. Even if there was one, problem or a few people who are a problem, everybody in that genre kind of gets the hammer. So
So
we
just
we
deleted
decided to
it.
get ahead of the curve and say, you know what? Because we already had the ONYX brand and that was already thriving by that point, we were like, why don't we just move on from this?
Mhm.
And so we cut our losses and we were just, we just continued on with our family.
We started ONYX Family, ONYX Kids in November 2016, and by 2 months later, we had deleted our superhero channel. Most of the people switched over from that channel over to that channel, and then we just got rid of it.
How'd you guys migrate them to the new channel?
Basically, I think we just made an announcement, maybe, or
because you know what, even with the superhero channel, we were in disguise. Nobody even knew who we were.
right.
So I think we just kind of just started with regular, almost fresh content.
I think we came up when we said we're taking off our mask and showing who we are.
I don't even think we made a big announcement. One of the things that we defined with our brand was that we have never relied on family or friends or even with that prior fan base. We've always been like, if you love us, you'll find us. We've kind of like been that thing where it's like, if you build it, they will come. So we just started to just build a new brand, and a lot of people just kind of were like, oh my goodness, I knew it was you. Like they just kind of naturally migrated.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some amazing things. Build it, and then they'll come and things like that. I think that was, I don't know who quoted that. Was it maybe Paul Graham of Silicon Valley? I can't remember, but you built this thing and just traction started coming. But I thought you used like tags and different types of like tricks and things like that to help increase the awareness.
Oh, well, I mean, there's strategy.
Channel, yeah.
There's strategy, but in terms of like putting out, like, you know how we know a lot of people who are just starting on YouTube, and they're always like, gotta get my family, gotta get my friends, and come on, you guys, support. Yeah. We didn't even tell our family we were doing YouTube for over a year.
Right.
Wow.
We didn't tell anybody, not our family, not our friends, anyone. So by that's what I mean. Like, we wanted to attract a natural fan base without it being like artificially bumped by just a few friends or family, because from the get-go, I knew if this is going to be something that is sustainable, we need the public to like it. I mean, that would be crazy if I was even building a medical company and I relied on only family and friends to come. Like, you have to make sure that you're building something that, everyone will love.
You're meeting the needs of the masses or of a particular niche group. You have to meet the needs of somebody.
Right. But when you say like the tags and everything, so at our first video, I think we got like about 9 views, and I was like, okay, wait.
That was back in December.
I was like, I don't understand.
Wait, this December?
1,000,000. No.
Oh.
This is years ago.
Okay.
This was back in 2015, December.
Oh yeah.
Before that one blew up. Yeah.
No.
All right, sorry, carry on.
That, I did research and I looked to see, okay, how do people usually get into an algorithm? I knew the word algorithm before someone explained to me there was a YouTube algorithm, because what I did was I went on Social Blade and I saw some consistent numbers on people's channels. Like, for example, I saw on a channel, I would be like, this person gets, I don't know, 3,000 subscribers every single day, and maybe 1 million views every day. Mm-hmm. I said, that's an algorithm. That is not random.
Right.
And I was thinking, how do I get into the algorithm? So then I did a lot of research, and I found out about search engine optimization. I found out how to make thumbnails. how to even word a description or title. And then from there, it was like, oh, this is how we do it.
Right.
So I think it has to be a combination of, learning the actual strategies of it, and then obviously your content being something the audience likes.
And of course, right now, those strategies would not work right now because the algorithm favors something completely different now.
Well,
Right
those
now,
particular ones that work then, it's always search
It's
engine
always-
optimization, but
right.
it just changes as the years go by of how you do it.
So right now, it would probably be more shorts. If you go in shorts, that's what's hitting the algorithm right now. That's what's trending. But back then, that's what it was.
When you mean shorts, what do you mean by shorts, for example?
Oh, well, it's a new type of video. It's kind of like a TikTok, but it's on YouTube. And YouTube calls it shorts.
Oh, they're
So
like
they
the
have-
stories that you see on YouTube now.
It's kind of like a story, but they're actual videos
Right.
that goes like on your channel. And it almost has
Yes.
its own algorithm now,
Right.
where it's kind of separate from the regular videos. And those are getting people like billions of views
Yeah.
per month. It's
Right.
really crazy.
Oh, it's blowing up. But the challenge with it is this, is that while before, if you got billions of views or millions of views, it was directly connected to your AdSense and you could get paid through your AdSense. These shorts now are not, they don't have any AdSense to it. So you're not really going to get paid because of course advertisements can't go into shorts.
It's not monetized yet, but
Not
it
yet.
will be. It will be.
But the good thing about it is that if a person wants to get the attention of people
Right.
who would like to use you as a brand dealable kind of brand, then they're going to be like, okay, well, maybe we can use them and find a way to find a brand, because who's going to give up a person who has billions of views? So that's how you would get your money nowadays versus back then. We would get money from brand deals. We could get money from our AdSense, in different ways.
Wow, that's a wild story. So pretty much what you're saying is YouTube's kind of switched the target on the new feature that they published out, which is the shorts. And so that is where they're really pushing the algorithm. They've kind of smothered or suppressed the standard YouTube video platform versus the shorts, and that's kind of the new feature they're kind of promoting. So they're pushing that out. So a lot of people are going towards that. Is that correct?
Right, and
As of now.
that's kind of like what we're talking about over the years from the time that we started. We always, well, I'm saying we, but it's really her. She's taught me that you always have to research.
It's always
you
the her.
have to keep on researching the new thing. So when we started, how we made our money was not how we had to make our money in 2017, 2018. Every single time we had to figure out what's that new algorithm. And
But
right
still
now,
being true to yourself.
right.
Wow. And
Building a brand.
how did you guys do that? Like, and like how consistently did you notice the algorithm changing, and how are you keeping up with it and things like that?
Oh man, it used to be where things would maybe change once a year, but now it's almost every other quarter. So there's some new change.
Get out of here.
And I have to say, it keeps you on your toes. But I think at the core, it's about who you are. Because if you go with every trend and you go totally off brand, you'll lose your audience. So the thing is, now we've learned that, and we've known this for a few years, that our brand is the biggest and most important thing.
Right.
And staying true to our brand. So even if the little changes are happening on YouTube, you got to be able to express who you are and your brand and your authentic self through those changes. So for example, if it's, longer videos are in, okay, so you just do a longer video of what you do, Now, if someone says, like, there was this trend a few years ago, running over toys. Now that would be, I wouldn't expect a financial guru to be like, I'm going to go run over toys now. So it's not like that.
You got to know your audience.
You got to know your audience and your brand. So you look for the trends really in your genre, and you kind of stick to that while still being your unique, authentic self.
And confession, we did run over toys. And
No, like once.
Yeah.
Like
But that was what our audience wanted at the time. You know what I mean? So
you had to do what you had to do.
Instinct. Yeah.
I don't know, that's interesting, but I still don't grasp, like, how are you, Rita, keeping up with these trends? Like, how are you being informed, and like how are you staying on top of things?
It's a great question, because I think it actually goes back to the research I used to have to do even as a nurse practitioner. A lot of times people believe, nurse practitioners get the easy cases, or you get, like the B class in terms of like, it's just hypertension or diabetes or something like that. Not that those aren't big, but a lot of people feel like, oh, you just give them a pill and that's it. But what happens in medicine is that no two patient is alike. You know, you've got allergies to deal with or reactions. You've got things that work on some, things that don't work, you know? And so I would constantly have to do research. And same with the doctors I worked with. So we constantly have that research brain where it's like, how do I stay current? New medications come out, new treatment plans come out, new changes in policies. So I felt like I took that same skill set and I think I applied it now to my business now, where I continue to look at what's the body of evidence. So I read articles, I look at YouTube, I see what's trending. I make sure to just research different strategies about how people are growing. And I just make sure that I'm current with any policy changes that come out. And it's just kind of like, you start to do it very naturally at first. I know that sometimes when people have asked me how I do that, and I tell them, they're like, oh, Rita, I can't do all that. And I totally get it. Because at first I was like, I knew nothing about this. And it's only with time and experience that now we're able to do it. And, you know, it just comes like natural.
But Rita, wait, time and experience, you literally, I think if I frame this right, you said you started within you studied for like 2 weeks originally, and then you got a couple million views. Is that correct?
But that was that time. See, things have changed.
Yeah.
You could do it back then. You literally could blow up if you knew what you were doing in 2 weeks. Not now.
I mean, it can happen now, but it's like maybe more now through shorts.
Yeah, like okay.
Like on a clean channel, like you've never had anything before on YouTube. You start off with shorts, you probably hit the algorithm a lot faster than, let's say, a channel that switched into shorts. Although I've seen a lot of channels that have switched to shorts and are blowing up like crazy. So it's really fun for me to see, like, how do we continue to adapt? You know, when you love what you do, you don't even look at it as a challenge. You just look at it like, oh, okay, you know, what's this next experience that we're going to have?
Wow. Amazing. Really amazing. And how many hours does this take you weekly to kind of like, you know, prep up things as far as like the research? Because you have to stay ahead of the algorithm. Are you using any or utilizing any type of tools to keep you updated, like some type of Google tracking or anything else like that? Or are you just like, you know, organically just searching through?
Oh, that's funny. I'm more of an organic person. I know that we've gotten contacted by a lot of companies that have been like, you know, do you want to use this tool or that tool? And I know that it's very beneficial. I'm old school like that, you know, where old school meaning like from 5 years ago. But I'm old school like that, where I just tend to do it, you know, with just me. I think the computer can really help you, but also there's nothing like the computer you've been given or you've been born with, you know, where you look at and you're able to just kind of see the trends before they start, before they really hit the mainstream. And I feel like for me, it comes very automated now. I don't really spend that much time in this particular research and stuff anymore, for two reasons. One, you know, you just once you do this for a while, it becomes almost automated, you know, like wash, rinse, repeat. But two, our business has really expanded into so many other areas that, you know, when you're building a brand on YouTube, especially, YouTube has to be your launch point, but very rarely can it be your final destination. You've got to be able to now expand. And, you know, now that we have our cartoon, we have our dinner show that we're going to be filming this summer, which will come out. And we have a bunch of other things down the pipeline. Plus we have our books. We have so many things that we do in our music that we're really excited. Plus we have offshoot brands like my daughter's exercise brand for cardionics. We have gaming. There's so many things now that take up our time that
we're really not chasing that algorithm anymore.
And we will freely admit, we are not at the absolute peak anymore. Like we used to be on Social Blade. If you went on there, I think we hit maybe number 16 or something, or out of everybody.
Wow.
And that's billions of channels. But with time, you realize, like, man, what it takes to kind of stay up there,
right?
I would not be able to expand into every other thing. So you kind of have to like say, you know what? I have to grow my brand over just chase after views. And that's where we are today.
Yeah, we're not really chasing the algorithm. Our brand is we're focusing more on the overall of our brand, connecting with and networking with different people and leveraging our history and our brand and our success than looking for a new YouTube success. Because they switch so often. The algorithm is constantly switching. The next way is switching so often. It's not worth it for us.
Wow. Yeah. And so, now that you guys, I think the difference is right now is you guys have pretty much hit critical mass, right? I mean, you've got millions of subscribers. So it's like at some point, does it really matter? Is it really going to hurt you? And then you also have accumulated these new business models. You also mentioned, Rita, that you guys have a new show about dinner. Was that correct? What's that?
Oh, we're really excited. It's called ONYX Family Dinner,
Okay.
and it is a YouTube Kids original show, or YouTube originals. And basically, what it will be our family talking about topics around the dinner table, and we're going to have a guest on for dessert. And so it is something that I've always dreamt about having as a talk show. I mean, this is why I love what I do. I feel like, I get to live my dreams. I remember we were in his mom's basement. Doesn't everything start with mom's basement? We were in his mom's basement.
I don't know.
And he was saying, I was saying to him, one day I'd like a talk show. And he was like, oh, okay. And, because I mean, it was just like, it was like the end, like 1999 or something, or early 2000. And it seemed so out of our reach. Like, why would that ever happen to us? And now, all these years later, it's like it's happening, and I couldn't be happier. And so that's what we get to do. And I get to even enjoy it even more because it's with my family. And the reason why I said doesn't everything happen in mom's base, because I see a lot of gurus, whether you're in real estate or
Either
whether you're in YouTube.
Either in
it's
your garage
like,
or
I've been broke, or I've been bankrupt, or I've had to live in my mom's basement, like things like that. A lot of times it's out of hardship. And even for us, even though that's not how we started our YouTube, it was a time where I was done. I was so exhausted from all that work. And I was like, I know I'm here for the medical company, but I gotta make a change.
That's deep. So you said, no, you just mentioned that, it was a really breaking point where you just like, I got to make a change. Was that during the point when you started the YouTube, or was that the point where you were like, hey, look, the medical thing, I want to spend more time with my family and things like that, and I just want to change away from this whole thing and find something else, to find a better way to leverage?
Yeah, it was all around the same time, really, because I had been telling him, kind of hinting around, dropping little seeds like, I'm really unhappy. And the thing is, he knew it would happen. He knew, because when something is for you and when it's not for you.
Right.
And while the medical field is a very noble field, you still should be called, because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with lives. And although I loved my patients, I just knew, though, that the time away from my family, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for what I wanted for my life. And so around that same time, even before I kind of knew that it was going to be YouTube, I was already like, I got to figure out something. I got to figure out some way that I can work from home and be with my family.
Right. I mean, that's a big thing, right? And is it not also just like being at home with your family? It's also having ownership and, being able to make the money like they did in the olden times. You were controlled of your own brand. Whatever you were is what that's what you did, and you controlled how much money was coming in, versus where now everybody tells you to depend on somebody else. Go work for somebody else, and you don't know how to be a creator. And I think everybody's a natural creator per se. Maybe not everybody, but I think like inherently we all have that, in our DNA, especially those warrior DNA, people like that. And obviously I think you guys are those type of people, but you guys realized there was this breaking point that, hey, look, we want to spend more time with my family. I'm not happy with, consuming all my time at this job and this career. I want something more. It's not as fulfilling. And then also, Rita, and was the money even, as much as you guys are making right now? Because you guys are getting millions of views.
Not even close.
Right.
Not even close. I mean, it was good money, but not even close.
Right.
I mean, that first month that I was telling you about, more money hit in our bank account than we've ever seen in our life. We were debt free, because at that point in time, we didn't really know about good debt and all that kind of stuff. So we immediately paid every single one of our debt, everything, and It's just like, because we're just like, whoa, we got to be good use of our money. So it was amazing. It was a life changer for us for sure.
I mean, that's smart to be really good with your money. So what did you actually do? You started, once you started making a lot of profit, you started paying off all your bills and things like that. But what was bad about that?
Well, I guess, when you're thinking about like how wealthy people use their money and how poor people think about using their money, a lot of time we still had a poor mentality. So paying off all your debt sometimes is like that person's main concept, like, gotta get this money and just pay off this debt.
And then save.
And then save.
Put it in your bank account.
But then
And that's it.
but saving doesn't multiply your
Doesn't
money.
grow it, right?
In fact, it just zeroes it out. Investing your money. So some people, even if they didn't get the big lump sum that we got from YouTube, you still need to make sure you're paying yourself first.
Right.
You still need to make sure that you are investing in yourself first and not taking all your money and just saying, let me give it to the landlord, let me give it to taxes, let me give it to this. Although all those things have to be done, you're basically affirming that these people are more important than you are.
Right.
And so there's a good thing with some debt. Some debt is good debt.
Right.
To have.
Explain what you feel is good debt versus bad debt for you guys, and what kind of things that you guys do differently.
Well,
Or would you do differently?
good debt is to go into like a real estate investment and to be able to leverage somebody else's money and a loan. So there's a difference between that and when we started going to school and getting all these student loans, but never were able to fully pay them back with the jobs that we had.
Right.
That's not good debt. But if you take your money and you say, okay, I'm going to not necessarily buy a home to live in, but what I'll do is I will buy a property and then
Like a duplex.
and then either live in one side and have somebody else live on the other side, or if you're able to have another home, rent it out. The money that you borrowed on that now is making money for you, as
Right.
opposed to, thinking about like, and that's a good debt. That's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes you just have to be okay with good debt versus like, just paying off everything. And by the way, if you pay off all your debt, one of the things that you realize is that now how are you going to bring up your credit score?
Right.
Because your credit score actually needs debt in order to kind of build it up, to build up that credit score. So there's so many things that we just didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like we didn't make enough to be in another tax bracket before. So tax time would be a time where it'd be like, yes, we're going to get a check for all our children and
refund,
and all this stuff. But
hit
then
that H&R Block.
when we first got our first money hit our bank, and then we got our first tax bill, and we're talking about paying, oh my goodness, I don't even want to say it.
You can say it.
It was unbelievable. So when we were in our struggle life, we say from the struggle life to the ONYX life. When we were in our struggle life, we would look forward to getting that tax return that would come in from the government. But now we realize that in our first year, when we were making all that money and we had to pay back this huge debt, we realized, whoa, we were supposed to be spending. Every time we go on a vacation, every time that we get a car, we shouldn't stay in our old car. We need to go and get that Porsche.
I like
we need
to call
go
it
and get
expensing versus, just spending.
Right.
But yeah.
And so we learned about what it means to have wealth and how you have to just orient your mind in a completely different way.
And who did this research? Was it you or Rita, or?
We kind of learned that one together because we got hit hard in our first year because neither of us were that wealthy. We were making okay money, but we weren't in that next tax bracket. And so we kind of learned the hard way. After that first tax bill, it was just like, we got to learn.
And we're still learning.
But
But this time, because our kids are older, they are learning with us, and the things I'm teaching them, the principles. From the get-go, I always tell people how when we incorporated, I automatically made sure that they were part owners from years ago, even when they were young, just so that they always felt ownership and that they were building their family legacy, their brand. But it doesn't stop there, right? Because now it's like, okay, I own this, but now what do I do with the money? And that's where I think we want to really go next as a family. We really want to pass on these tools, all this knowledge that we've been given, and we want to keep learning, and we want to pass on that knowledge to our fans. because a lot of people, they have seen us and they're like, oh, Rita, how do I start a brand? How do I start a YouTube channel? And it's like, okay, I used to tell them, okay, this is what you do to start a YouTube channel.
Right.
But now since then, I've learned so many different other ways that, even if YouTube doesn't work out for you, hey,
How
I
could you
have
grow your
other
wealth?
things that you could do
Right.
that could also make you financially free, still work with your family, and just really be
And even more
authentic to
dependable,
yourself. Yeah.
even more dependable financially.
Right, totally. I mean, I think you guys mentioned a lot of amazing things, and I think this is something that plagues, I would say, probably a lot of minority demographics in the United States, and that is like being financial literate, right, and kind of just like learning how to navigate like somebody, and not even just like minorities. I think this hits people who just don't know about money, right? If you don't know about money, you might think it's an enemy. You might think it's religiously money is bad, and when you push these type of energies out, I find that you kind of push that money away. If you think it's bad, it's not going to come to you, right? Laws of attraction, right? If we're really going to think about things, you guys seem like you guys walked, totally with faith when you guys went in here, and what I mean by faith is you guys didn't know that you were going to make money, right? You didn't know you were going to actually be profitable. I think, Rita, you had this urge and this burn where you knew something wasn't right. I think inherently you knew something wasn't right. Something in your aura, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, gave you this energy, said, hey, look, something's not right. I know what I want to do. And you started calling this. You started calling this into the universe and saying, hey, look, I want to do something different. This is not me. And then you started exploring. You started doing action. And you put faith in it by not knowing what was going to be the end result, and you started making it happen. And you guys did it as a family collectively. I think that's brilliant. And you mentioned some great things about, taxes, right? Taxes and managing your money, and and learning also about I guess good debt, right? Good debt. And I think that is imperative. And then having your business credit cards and debt is great. And even just a small factor, if you have like credit cards that you might not actually use much, just having a large amount of, financial influence helps. Multiple cards that have high balances, calling them every 3 months to increase those balances. That also increases your credit and your buying power. Are you guys an LLC incorporation or an Inc?
LLC.
Ah, brilliant. Smart. So it sounds like you guys have thought about this a lot. And I think that all matters, and how you're playing with your taxes, that can make you, rich or poor easily, no matter how much money you have.
Oh,
And I think
no.
how you guys have navigated this so far is pretty amazing for, where you guys have been. But how did you first start learning this? Because you guys were going originally to H&R Block. Were you like getting any guidance or maintenance? Like,
You know what? I gotta say that we learned through a lot of mistakes,
Yep.
unfortunately.
trial and error.
It was like, and then the same approach that I took to strategies on YouTube, and the same approach that I took to, treating my patients, started doing it with finances. YouTube University, I know some people denigrate it, but are you kidding me? I think it's just the most amazing tool
amazing.
ever. It's like you get exposed to so many people who teach you so many things. And from there, I then download like books that I need to be reading.
Mhm.
So my Kindle is full of books. And, and then of course there's always like websites. And so I just took that same approach. Like, no, we are not going to do the same thing every single year.
That's
And
another thing. Investing in courses,
investing,
spending thousands of dollars
exactly.
in courses, online courses.
Exactly.
Our children turned to us, and I really wanted them to go to their university of choice. We actually moved to the location that we moved to just for them to get into their university of choice. They got accepted, and we were very proud of them.
Congratulations.
But they said, "We don't want to go, Dad. We want to work on our business. We are entrepreneurs. You guys have set us up to understand life. Why are we making millions, and now we're gonna go to school
Right. Well,
to do what?" Like,
some people
Right.
like they will say, "Oh, my kid has to have a degree," but because we've been there, done that. He has 2 masters. I have 1. We were
Right.
both in the
In
PhD
program,
program,
it's like,
Congrats.
and we were like, what
it
are
wasn't
we
going to
doing?
do anything more for us.
Right.
And they weren't going to into school to do something that required a degree. So if you have a passion and you have this God-given gift inside of you where it requires a degree, then by all means go to school. for sure.
Right.
But I mean, that's just wasn't our kids. And so they turned to us and they're like, no, I don't want to go and I want to do this. And so they've been working with us on their on this family business ever since. And they're full-time entrepreneurs.
I mean, if you think about it, schools, and I would say probably practical schools, they kind of teach you how to go work for someone else, right? Versus, how to start your company, how to manage your taxes, how to navigate throughout the world, and also law and things like that. These are things that are, these things are major to a person's well-being when they're trying to grow up in any country. And if you don't know how to navigate through the system, you're going to end up in a bad situation if you don't figure out things fast, right? And some people, it takes them longer. They might have mentorship. Some people may go onto the internet, Rita, and figure it out. Some people just never figure it out. Some people just don't have the energy and the drive, just to do that. And I feel like you guys have a lot of energy and drive to keep on pushing and fighting and to, push against adversity to make it where you guys are. But where are you guys located right now?
So we live in the South, but we navigate a lot. Like we're heading back to California.
Where I'm originally from LA.
California.
So
awesome.
But we have a lot of opportunities in California. So we
tend to go between both.
Yeah.
We have a place in LA and a place in the South, and we just kind of go between both.
Wow. The South is it's the cost of living is amazing.
The cost of living is amazing, and
so the house that we have here,
right,
to go to LA and to get the same house. First of all, the market in LA right now is really not.
It's inflated.
It's inflated right now, so you wouldn't want to do that. But just comparatively, you could live really good in the South, and you get certain tax benefits that may not necessarily be the same benefits you get in California.
We were here primarily because our kids were going to go to that HBCU that we went to and that where we met, and my family went there, his family went there, so it was almost like a tradition.
Right.
So we're kind of turning tradition on its head, but we decided to continue to stay because we still love the community, but for work, and also my family's also in LA, so that's why we go back and forth.
Wow, that's amazing. So right now you guys are, you kind of moved towards the South near the college that, your kids basically wanted to actually attend, but now they've kind of said, hey, look, we're making money. We're making good businesses, because I see kind of a way where it's like they figured out how to make business or money. So the whole point of going to school is to what? To make money. And if you're already making more money than the people that are going to school, what's the point of actually going to school? And if you're learning how to build a big brand, that can give you more strength than any school or college would be able to do, because they're not teaching this stuff. What you guys have learned, they're not teaching it. And you obviously know it. My mom has 3 master's degrees, and I make way more money than she does, right? So we know how that ends up going in the long run. Sometimes you have to have that gene where you're just going to jump out and discover it and fight for what you want, which is freedom. And you guys kind of reached this point where you guys woke up and said, hey, look, this is not what we want. Again, we want to change. And through this, trajectory, you guys figured out how to kind of work through the internet and use it to your advantage and now build a brand. And how many subscribers do you guys have on YouTube right now?
Combined, we have over 6 million.
Right, yeah, 6 million, 6.3 million or something like that. Yeah, I remember that. That's awesome.
Over 6 million and over 3.5 billion views.
Amazing. And you guys, you also said, Rita, that you do a lot of thumbnail curation. Like, how are you picking out the right type of thumbnails? Like, how are you doing this?
Only in the beginning did we really have to kind of learn how to do that and what's popular. And of course, even thumbnails change over the years, like what's popular a year ago. So it's just kind of like looking to see what hits. I'm a person, and I'll readily admit, I'm not the person that's tied to our analytics. If the thumbnail looks catchy to me, or,
and what does catchy
we go with it.
What does catchy mean to you? What do you think? And what do you think that embodies?
Depends
it depends on the content. If it's like a skit, something that like a fantasy skit, like the kids may do for the kids, it might have an enormous teacher, and the kids might look like small compared to that. Or if it's like more like a vlog or a challenge, and you have something compelling on there, like some sort of maybe a drink with some smoke coming out of it or something. You know, like it just depends on what it is.
And sometimes what it is whatever the most popular thing that is trending right now looks like, you want to make your thumbnail look
Similar.
to that one, so that it kind of like you piggyback off of that.
And what kind of
If
tools
you're
are you
in the
guys
kids
leveraging?
space,
Oh, sorry.
Hmm?
What kind of tools are you guys leveraging to kind of see what's trending? Are you just going on basic YouTube to just check this out? Like,
Basic YouTube, but we also still use vidIQ. I think if that's the one tool in terms of analytics that we might that we've used over the years. I know a lot of people either use TubeBuddy or vidIQ. For us, we use vidIQ.
and what's the most common thing you know feature on vidIQ that you find yourself kind of utilizing?
I think the tags.
Mm.
Even though I hear tags aren't even as important anymore.
not anymore. Yeah.
But also you can see similar videos. So you can see, oh, this if they're based on your tags, right? The top 10 videos that are similar. You kind of see, oh, okay. And again, I'm at a different point in my YouTube career. I just don't pour as much into it because it's so automated now for all of us that I'm okay with where we are with where we stand, and so that I can pour my energy into the other things that we have to grow. So, but
And
I have
question
friends.
whether they work anymore.
But I have friends who are like tied to their computer. Like, you know, they know when the drop off rate for all their videos are, and they make adjustments, they change. I mean, it has to be a lot for us to change a thumbnail on a video that's already been uploaded. But I have friends that do that regularly. So it all depends on where you are in your YouTube career.
And how's that working out for them?
See, that's another thing. I don't really see that they get that much like better results or
Right.
anything.
That's
so.
how I was trying to say that things have changed so radically on YouTube. Part of the reason why we have let go of that type of trying to control
Yeah.
is because the algorithm is all over the place. And
Yeah.
I think that we're just like, it's not worth it anymore to invest our time in that way.
Yeah.
Wow. So the algorithm's kind of got some type of schizophrenic, manic depression type of thing going on.
For kids and family, especially, I
Yeah.
would say.
Wow. And what did you find also, Rita? That was also another bigger trigger point. Did the category that you guys put yourself under, did that have a big contribution to your growth and trajectory?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the dominating audience on YouTube is kids still. And I think because my kids were young at the time, so I always thought in the kid kind of thought process, like, oh, what would my kids enjoy doing? And then them serving their audience. And then with us having a family channel, again, we still cater to, more of a younger audience. And I just think because YouTube is more kids that are watching, I think if you're in the kid genre, you're going to get naturally probably more views. But I do think that shift is changing. I think a lot of adults, even like me, I rarely turn on my television. I watch, either I'll watch platforms or I'll watch YouTube, so I think that is going to continue to shift, and we're going to see more and more and more adults on YouTube.
And traditionally speaking,
watching YouTube.
Children channels get more views, adult channels get higher CPMs. And so if you see a children channel getting millions and millions of views,
Right.
their CPM is lower.
Exactly.
So they need those millions of views in order to get kind of like the same that an adult channel that has great content gets. So the idea really is to find that trending thing for adult views, and don't worry about the views so much because your CPM is going to be solid. And one of those things that people have made a lot of money even recently would be money channels, teaching people how to do financials. They may not get the views that we get, but they certainly get the same money or more because their CPMs are high.
Right. Yeah. So people targeting those type of markets or that type of categories. Yeah, categorization is pretty interesting how that works. It's amazing. Right now, what you guys, where do you find your primary focus is as far as like the different type of business models that you guys have, that you guys are working on or launched out already with you and the kids?
Oh man, I would say the books is a very big part of our expansion. One of the things we did was we repurposed. We have two series primarily right now. One where it's just original, and the other one is repurposed videos now made into books. And so, and as a family, we write, I
Do the
edit.
illustrations.
My daughter does
Wow.
illustrations, and then we put it out. I'm a very, like how I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm very organic. Where we can do, I like to do. And I know that at some point you need teams. So we do have a team around us for other things. But for now, that's something that we do. And I think when it comes to like our entertainment side, getting into more premium content, for example, our cartoon Onyx Monster Mysteries, that's a big endeavor, and that's right now available on Amazon Kids Plus and Amazon Prime.
Right.
And we just wrapped the second season, so the second season will premiere this fall. Now, having that has just been another dream of ours, to do cartoons, and that's not something that we can do easily,
Right. Very
So,
expensive.
we partnered with Pocket Watch, and they're the ones who produced it. And so that is something that we're really excited for, along with the talk show. And then, of course, we have things that will be coming soon that when they come, we're able to announce it. But yeah, getting into more premium content and expanding our books and things like that. Those are major things.
And what kind of books did you guys write? Could you give me some examples?
Well, my husband has written books that had to do with,
Just
topics
faith,
about
faith and
yeah.
encouragement during hard times. And then we've also, like Rita said, we've repurposed books. So we have two series that are running right now. One is called ONYX Adventures, ONYX Kids Adventures,
Mhm.
and the other one is called ONYX Kids
Honest
School
Kids
Days.
School Days, yeah.
And Rita primarily is the author for ONYX Kids School Days, but the ONYX Kids Adventures is repurposing our content on YouTube so that, it's almost like the Native Indians, where if they killed a buffalo, they treated it as sacred. They used every single part, whether to keep them warm, whether to eat, whether for medicine. And so what we try to honor the work that we put in. We multi-purpose every single bit of our content, and we dice it up. So we'll put it into shorts, put it on TikTok, take the same content, make a book, put it on Amazon, take that same content, throw it up on Instagram and Facebook, and so that we're maximizing everything that we're doing.
Wow. And Mirthell, you're a religious man, I assume, right? You were a preacher and things like that. What drives you? What drives you and the family?
Well, it's definitely, certainly our faith. But I'll say one of the things that has kept us going through the most difficult times is just trusting what was placed inside of us. And you don't really even have to be a person of faith or a person that, is traditionally religious. Each person has been given something special at birth, and just to know you're special.
Your superpower.
You may not even believe in God.
Right.
Just know you're special, and you were made special, and you were made with a purpose is absolutely important. Because that thing that was placed inside of you, if you try to honor a 9 to 5 and you're working on somebody else's dreams and visions, you're not honoring what was placed inside of you. But if you believe in what was placed inside of you, we just did a interview with Matthew McConaughey, and one of the things that really grabbed me in his book, and when we're talking to him, was this concept of targets and arrows. And from a young age, he said that I realized I was not a target. At some given point in time, my parents helped me realize I am not an arrow. I'm a target. And an arrow is sort of like when you look at life with anxiety to say, I gotta hit this target. I gotta aim. I gotta practice. If I don't hit the target, then I miss the mark. And then that's it. Versus, I am the target. Opportunities come to me. Arrows come to me. Now, if everybody else is shooting their shot at you, you don't have to worry about whether you hit the target, because you are the target. You're special. What was placed in you, you will draw opportunities to you. And so what we have found is that when we honored the giftedness and the things that are inside of us, opportunities drew to us. So like, for instance, our cartoon, I remember when I was a pastor and I was homeschooling our kids, because we homeschooled them their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember feeling horrible as a parent, like, did I really do well with math today? Did I really get them to know their English today? And so I would, I'd go to work and bring them to prayer meeting with me. And a lot of my prayers were like, God, help me out. I don't want to mess up my kids. I don't want to screw them up. and as I'm going home, I'd buy them pizza and just not know what's going on. I'd flick on the because we'd have like an Odyssey. And so I'd flick on a cartoon, put on SpongeBob or put on the Proud Family or Wild
Right.
Thornberries are all our kids' favorites.
Right.
Well, guess what? Today, our children are sitting at the executive table. One of my daughters is using her writing skills that wrote the skits. She's writing some of the scripts on our cartoon that Amazon bought 2 seasons from, and we're on Amazon Prime.
Amazing.
She's working with a guy named Albie Heck, who was the president of Nickelodeon at the time, who was a primary producer of the SpongeBob movie that we were watching. That was Doreen Spicer, who produced the Proud Family. She is also one of the persons that was on our project to make sure that it was a success. Do you see how you become the target?
Yeah.
When you honor what was placed inside of you, and you put your faith in what was placed inside of you, and you invest in yourself, opportunities come to you. And now the next thing you know, all these worries that I didn't have to have those worries. It was going to work out as long as I honor the things that are most sacred, which is you. Honor what was placed inside of you.
And how do you feel that you've honored that?
Just making sure that, like for instance, now, like even with Shiloh, just when we saw that our kids were creative, when we saw that our kids were good at what they did, we honored that. We did not say, no, you have to go to school. No, you have to do it the traditional way. No, you have to be a doctor because doctor is prestigious. No, you have to be a lawyer. No, we said, no. We will go with honoring what your creativity side is. We are going to honor that. We are going to continue to affirm you in your area of giftedness, as opposed to try and push you or shoot the shot where we think we want you to go. You're going to be the target, and we're going to honor you, who you are, how you were made. And that's how we did it. And so there was a shift from traditional education to this kind of sense of education, honoring spiritual giftedness inside of each one of us. Even myself, being a pastor and going on the podium. Nowadays, I've always been the cook in the home, right? Now, traditionally, you'd think that the man is supposed to be the head. He's supposed to make the money. Well, there was a time where I was doing that, all that kind of stuff. But now I love cooking. So
Right.
I do all the cooking. And guess who's the boss when it comes to money? She's the boss when it comes to money. I follow her. I honor her. I submit to her. Why? Because when I see the God giftedness inside of her, I don't have that. She has that. So I honor that. And in honoring her, I honor God who made her that way. And so, and then I do all the cooking. I cook for the entire family. Every day they come to me and say, Dad, what are we eating today? Honey, I'm hungry.
Because he's a good cook. I mean, if he wasn't a good cook, I mean, literally, he could be a chef.
Right.
If he wasn't a, like that.
And now what happens is I do the cooking. I started a show called Feed the Soul with Mirthell, where
Wow.
I cook a meal. I invite a friend to come on, and then we talk about the food while I'm fixing the food for my family. I set up that show because I know that the ONYX Family Dinner is coming up, and I wanted, if we're having dinner, then someone has to be cooking. So I parlayed my giftedness and put it out there so that I could monetize that and get my God giftedness out there. So I'm the cook behind the show. And starting the show, not knowing where that would go, because we have an ONYX Family Dinner, but I didn't have mine, not knowing where it would go. A few weeks ago, we ended up on Dr. Oz, and as he was going on, he decided to feature Feed the Soul with Mirthell, which is airing in June. And then the next thing you know, I got publicity already. So
Wow.
when you honor your giftedness and you don't have shame in who you are and how you are made and what you are, and you recognize that you are made this way and you are loved, you're eternally loved. So love yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be what other people think you need to be. When you live your life that way, you are destined to become the kind of target and magnet for good things. It's just going to come to you.
Yeah, I can definitely, I can see the preacher in you for sure. I can see the preacher. I can see the motivational speaker in there. Yeah, definitely there. I see it, man. I definitely agree with everything you said. It totally resonates. I 100% believe everything you said. I've seen it. And I think the key thing is too, it also, to reiterate is that, you said, religion doesn't matter. And I think the thing is religion doesn't matter because I think inherently what you end up doing is you guys are still walking in faith, right? You guys are walking in faith. Whether you believe in religion or not, you're believing in something that you didn't see. It was not drawn out for you. It didn't seem like a clear path. You guys have walked blindly and still became successful. You guys, said, hey, I want to do something. You had these energies. You've talked about it, and then you just started doing it. you started, you didn't just like talk about it or pray. You guys actually started doing it. You did the work. A lot of people don't do the work. You guys did the work. And I think that's amazing. But I think like right now, as you guys have, you said Matthew McConaughey, you guys did an interview, or was it a podcast? I think I saw it like on your Instagram too as well, I think. And
Right. An interview over his book, Green Lights.
Green Lights, right. And so like with Green Lights, what do you find like out of the book that, that you found was the most useful for you guys? Like, and how do you feel that you guys could leverage that?
Well, for me, it was that particular part that by far really dominated. I thought the book was amazing overall. He's authentic. He's transparent. So I loved all those things. But for me, that gravitated to me. I think for Rita, it was the part with his mother.
Oh yes, when he talked about his mother forgiving herself for everything, and he tells this wildly funny story about basically a cream that he put on his face that went really wrong, and it was his mom kind of encouraging him to take it. Then they find out like the more he used the cream, the worse it got. But his mom was like, "No, take the cream; it'll get better." But basically, it all ends up where she was like, face. "Oh man, I'm sorry I did that." And she just forgave herself and moved on. And he was like, that's how she was. She just forgave herself for all the things that, as a mother, we make a lot of mistakes. And she didn't get caught up with that. And I'm the type of person where I will think about, what did I do 3 years ago when I said this to my daughter? I should have said this more. I should have done this, or, and I'm an overthinker when it comes to parenting. And so for me, it was like, oh, wow. Someone who just gave themselves the permission to just move on and forgive themselves, that is a new concept. And I was like, I really want to adopt that.
Wow. That's amazing. Amazing stuff. Yeah, I think this is awesome. Do you guys want to bring the kids in?
Sure.
Let's
guys,
definitely bring all the guys and ladies and gentlemen and everyone in there.
Sinead,
Definitely.
Shiloh, Shalom.
Hey. How are you? Awesome.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Shiloh.
Is he again?
You know where Shiloh is?
He's right there.
We got to find Shiloh. We need Shiloh here for sure.
Hello.
Hello.
Here, you go.
Awesome. Is this everyone? Wow, it's amazing. I see a lot of money here. Yeah, so, did you guys want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Hi, I'm Shalom. I'm Sinead.
I'm Shiloh.
I'm Shasha.
Awesome. So guys, I wanted to bring you guys also on and talk to you guys too as well. Like, what's been amazing? I mean, what have you found to be, I guess I would say, some kind of like hurdles or some type of like, I would say probably harder things that you guys had to go through in order to, put yourself in this position. What are some of the like, issues and things that you guys have kind of had to get to where you guys are now?
I think for me, it's figuring out the algorithm. Definitely over the years, it's changed drastically. And so we had to figure out what type of content that our audience would like, and sometimes what YouTube would like. And so for us to trying to like experiment and try different things is something that we've been trying to, master.
Yeah. And then I would also say that one thing that it was kind of a struggle for us is definitely, or not much of a struggle, but it's something that you have to get past, is putting yourself out there the first time. Because when you put yourself out there the first time, it's very nerve-wracking. You don't know, right. You're starting to overthink how people see you, and do I look good like this, or overthink your facial expression. Right. So I feel like that after a certain point, you get over that first bump, then you're okay with it,
And for me, it was more balancing school and filming. So we would have to do homeschool, and then after make some time to film, but you still got to do some homework too. So, it wasn't too hard, but it was just one thing another hurdle to cross.
Yeah.
How about you, Shiloh?
Well, I agree with Shasha in a way. It was really just school, because most of my life I was just really just, doing school, just the regular thing. But when YouTube came, like my day was like filled with lots of work and stuff like that. But I was also glad that, what I was doing was also fun as well. So yeah.
Awesome. And you guys are homeschool now, or are you still in school? Like,
Well, we're graduated.
Except for him, he's still in school.
ah, and you started this while you guys were still in school. Is that correct? Or
Yes, we were in high school. Shasha was like maybe end of middle school, getting into high school.
ah.
Like elementary.
And what did some of your when you guys first started this? What did some of your friends think about your new journey or your new business or YouTube channel? Like, what was that like?
Well, in the beginning, we didn't really tell anyone. I don't know if our parents touched on this. Like we really kept it like a family like secret mostly. And then when we revealed it, they were like, "Oh, that is so cool!" And they even tried it out themselves. Making their own YouTube channel. And yeah, that's basically how it went.
Yeah, and the thing is, me and Shalom decided not to go to college. So we had everything set up to go to university. We had our dorm, we had our meal plans, we had everything set up for it. And then, like maybe a month out, we were like, okay, we got to look back and think about it.
Right.
What do we want to do in our future? So we decided that we wanted to, because our business was booming, we were like, okay, we want to focus all of our attention on the business. So we decided to not go. And our friends were like, wow, okay. I mean, I don't know what to think of that.
And parents, you guys were like, wow, too, or were you guys just like, go for it?
I think for the most part, we're very supportive. Rita was really like, yeah, of course.
I don't know why he keeps saying that. I was like on the fence because I was happy that they knew what they wanted to do. There was that part of me that was like, will they regret it? And
Right.
I didn't want them to regret it.
That was the overthinking mother part where it's like you didn't, but you knew it was a good decision.
I
to
knew
make.
it was true to who they
Right.
were. And I knew that there was nothing that they had expressed to me that they wanted to do that they would have needed college. But my husband and I met in college.
Right.
So we naturally always think our kids will follow the same track.
So for me, I
yeah.
knew it was a good decision that they were making.
Right.
But I was for so long, I had envisioned them going and meeting their husband, like how I met my wife. I envisioned them making friends, like how I met friends. So for me, it almost wasn't even for the education as much as it was for the culture of college.
Right.
And so I was a little bit, but they're like, Dad, I'll meet a husband wherever I'm at. Like, I don't need to pay to meet a husband. That's a lot of money that you'd be putting down for me to go and part. I'm saying socialize. And I was like,
right.
That's a lot of money to do that when they're like, that can happen anyway. Like, we can have relationships anyway.
Right, because there's like a community thing, when you get into school, you can get in sororities and fraternities and things like that and use those networks to kind of leverage yourself. But you guys have already a solid following right now. It's like people know who you guys are. And literally, if you go in certain, crowds or different types of like groups, you're going to meet a lot of successful people, especially as you guys continue to keep on growing. I mean, you guys are pretty big as it is already. I mean, the next Kardashians, right? Minus the other negative things, right? That's crazy. So you mentioned that you actually taught like some of your friends, guys, to just to kind of start doing this themselves, or they started doing it themselves, right? Like, did they get as good as you guys?
I'd say our friends, the adult friends, not.
I don't think really any of your friends have really.
Well, we
tried.
We have
maybe a couple.
Told them a couple of things, but it's the thing is, there's always a small percentage of people that will actually go all the way with it.
Right.
Like they will try it and they'll do a little bit and then they'll go back to their regular life activities. But it's very, very rare when people actually continue to do it and to really be consistent with it, because it takes a lot of consistency.
Or they'd want you to do it for them.
Yeah.
Like some of your friends would wanted you to like editing it or doing something for them.
Definitely.
As opposed to because they don't know how to do it, but they figure you're an expert, so you do it and help me out.
Wow. That's interesting. You do. All right, cool. Now I know why you guys are there. Yeah. So what you said, so you also said that, there was this, point where you had mentioned that, there was a fear of putting yourself out there, right? Like, could you describe to us, like, what is that? Like, what did that feel like? And like, how did you get over it? And at what point do you think you got over it? Yeah.
Wow. Shiloh, how'd you feel?
Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah, you're the only boy.
Felt really, really, really cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, being on YouTube and being young is actually really cool. I didn't really have any worries at first, actually, but I guess just
I think you were young
Yeah.
enough where you didn't have any like self-confidence issues.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
young enough where you were like, hey, I'm here.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're
I
right.
agree.
I mean,
But
I always been wanting to do YouTube, so
That's
just being on
true.
there, it's like, oh wow, like
Yeah, you were ready for it.
You were ready for it. I feel like that when you're a little older, like us, it was a little more like you're already
Yeah.
overthinking as a teenager.
Nerve-wracking.
You're already like, oh, my friends, what if they see me and everything
Well,
like
because
that?
we kept it a secret, I feel like I was a little more confident, being like, okay, no one gets to like, none of my friends gets to see it or anything like that. But over time, I thought about it, and I was like, who cares if they see me? You know?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
this is just myself, and this is just showing my talent to the world. So it's like,
Right.
I just quickly got over that.
But how did you guys get over that? How did you do it?
Honestly, I feel like it's just over time. The more you do it, the more you break out of the thought cycle.
The more you get
give it
comfortable.
time.
It's
Well-
more like the consistency of doing it because you have to push yourself to do something. Like if you want to stop being afraid of heights, you probably have to keep on flying planes, keep on
Right.
going on roller coasters and all of that. So
Right.
if you're like afraid of showing your face to the world, you just have to keep on doing the videos.
Exactly.
You know,
Don't.
until you
There's
until
no
you don't
other
even
way.
think about it.
And
Wow.
on top of that, though, from the very beginning, we had a policy that we don't look at comments.
Yes.
So I know that made it a lot easier because they didn't have to get any negative feedback.
Because there's always trolls.
Yeah.
How do you guys do that? Like, how do you not look at the comments? You guys aren't tempted to look at the
Don't.
comments?
Look at it.
Like, there's-
I find it so easy. Just don't.
I just feel like you have to kill your curiosity.
From
Yeah.
the beginning, we set that rule not to look at comments. So I think it became easy for them because it was like, we're not allowed to look at the comments. And then now they're adults, so they could look at it if they want to. But I think because when they were just doing it as a household rule, it just became natural for them. And now they're just like, eh.
Wow. So you guys never look at the comments?
No.
No, like there's times where it's appropriate. Like for example, some of our Instagram, because it's not
It's
so
limited.
large, right? It's limited. If we get emails,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice emails.
it all depends.
But
you
not on
know.
YouTube.
We don't go through line by line. We might
Yeah.
see a comment here or there. So it's
Yeah.
not like it's an absolute iron curtain rule, but it is something where it's very few and far between.
And then, of course, you have all the filters. So if you're really not looking at your things, and then you also have filters,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
filters out most of the trolling.
And do the comments like also help the your videos and within the algorithm?
There was a time.
I
that
think
it
there was
did.
a time there they did, but I don't think it helps now because
Yeah.
there was a time recently, I would say a couple of years ago, where YouTube took off comments on family and kid channels.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
Never got it back.
one of them we did.
One of
So,
them.
Yeah.
Wow. So kids, like, could you guys walk me through some of some of your business endeavors that you guys are doing or interested in general? We can start from the left to the right.
Our list?
We'll start with the pink.
Okay, well, I'm starting up a fitness brand called Cardionics. I've been working on it for years. I've always been into fitness. So this year I just launched an app. So it's on Roku, it's on Apple, and it just features on-demand workouts, and I'm really happy and excited about that.
What made you want to do that?
I just always had a passion for inspiring kids to get more active. I feel like even more after the social media age, I really feel like it's more of a need to get kids more active. So I felt like, hey, if they see me, Shasha, as a role model getting active, maybe they'll feel inspired.
Right. And if you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing?
I would probably be writing books. We have a book line for our videos, so I'd probably be more invested in writing books.
She's written several.
Yes.
So she's written almost all of them.
Are
So
you
she's a
the writer?
as well.
She's
Well,
primary writer of ONYX Kids Adventures.
Of the
University.
books, but
Ah.
Shalom is the primary writer of the skits. So what they did was they took the skits and then they wrote the books off of the script. So really, a lot of the original content for the ONYX Kids came from Shalom. So maybe Shalom, you want to talk about?
Wow.
Well, my contribution to the books is that she writes. Well, I write the scripts at first for the videos, and then she writes it in book form, and then I illustrate it. And that's basically how the process goes. And that's basically my primary focus. Like I focus on the illustrating of the books, like the covers and the inside of it. And so that's basically my part.
So when you said that you focus on the illustration, Could you give me more description of like what do you do in the illustrating? Are you drawing it? Are you using Photoshop?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I draw the pictures for it, like little Shiloh and Shashas and everyone around here. So yeah, I basically make it in picture form, and then I put it in the book.
What do you use? What is
What kind of
is the
tools? Yeah,
language
yeah.
that you use?
Just use
Photoshop.
that.
What are you using?
Oh wait. Oh,
What app?
What app? I use what's that called again? Pro.
Adobe
Pro
Draw.
Sketch or something?
Yeah, Adobe Sketch. I use that. Adobe
think so.
Sketch.
Mm.
So Adobe Pro too. Adobe Pro.
Wow.
In fact, that doesn't exist.
Adobe. I use Adobe.
it's
Adobe Draw. No, Draw. That's what it's called. Adobe Draw.
on an iPad.
We bought
Right.
her an iPad Pro, and she used that with the pencil.
So I basically.
It's amazing
write-
skill.
Yeah. So we have 2 book series: Onyx Kids Adventures and
Onyx Kids School Days.
Onyx Kids School Days. Yeah.
Onyx School. What was that?
Onyx Kids School Days.
Ah.
That's another book series that we have.
Uh-huh.
So basically, that's what my mom writes.
Awesome. And next.
You should go, John. Okay. Well, for me, I have my own gaming channel called Play Onyx, and it currently has about 250,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And currently, I'm gonna be live streaming on Twitch as well to really grow out my audience. And I never really live streamed before, but I think doing it now is a good time since everyone's at home, they're quarantined, they have, nothing really to watch. So I think it's a great idea to do that. I'm also behind the scenes for my free time. I'm programming, like trying to make games and stuff like that, so in the future, I can probably make that as a career. So yeah.
Sweet. And you said you'd like to make that into a career as what? Owning a game company or being a game developer?
Really a game company. I really like that.
A
Like,
game company that owns several games, like
yes, yeah.
But
Well,
he's
he's
actually
learning
coding.
coding so
He's
that
doing
he
coding
can
so he could develop.
Oh,
Yeah.
what kind of languages do you know? Or-
I'm learning Java. I learn Lua, and soon I'm gonna be learning C++ as well. So.
Cool. C++. That's usually the start off in computer science. Took
Mhm.
that. Awesome. Amazing. You'll do great. Next.
Thank you.
For me, I am mostly focused on. So I also have a gaming channel, but I do like a little bit. I do different content than he does, so we kind of just both are in the same realm, but we just do different kind of games and everything. But I also do music, so I'm the primary like songwriter for any song that we create. So we released an album and a couple of singles. I wrote all the.
She wrote a song on our YouTube channel that has over 100 million views. It's called Ketchup versus Mustard.
Yes, so
What?
I do a lot of rap battles.
Okay, wait. Back up. What's going on? Ketchup versus mustard. How many
I've
views?
written a song. It's just basically a rap battle between ketchup and mustard, and it has over 100 million views right now on our YouTube channel. It's our highest viewed video right now.
I missed that one. I gotta go check that one out after this. This is interesting. Oh my god.
So she
And-
wrote all of the music for all of our
Cartoons,
cartoons.
24 songs, and that was definitely pushing myself to the limit. 24 songs in about 3 months each, so 12 songs in 3 months, another 12 songs in 3 months.
Plus
So-
the theme song.
Plus a
her
theme song.
and Rita.
Yeah.
Wow.
She helped to help me with the theme song, and I did the theme song for our dinner show that's coming out as well. So I'm very much into songwriting, and I want to continue to do that for my future. Even like I also do my own songs that I'm working on as well. So that's my primary focus.
And what do you want? And you said you're doing music already right now too as well, but you said you want to actually eventually, focus on music kind of in a way. Like what type of genre would you be interested in?
I'm mostly into hip hop rap. That's what I do best in with writing. But I mean, I sing sometimes, but I find that I do best with rap and hip hop.
Who would be your favorite rapper, or who do you feel would be inspirational for your career?
For my career, she's not really known, but I love Wande, Wande. She has great flow. I love her lyrics. She's positive, so I love her.
Awesome. Yeah, I could see you doing something positive. Dad's a preacher and stuff, yeah. Yeah, I think like you guys, how do you guys all work collectively? Like I see like these superpowers being embraced, that you guys, as parents, you guys have kind of like cultivated into your children and things like that. But like, how did you guys do this or organize this and, discover or embrace these superpowers out of yourselves and then also the children? And how do you guys kind of support each other? I see a bunch of different talents and hats here, but like, how did you do it? How did you discover it?
I think that the biggest thing that we've tried to do as parents is look at some of the things that they've been into from the time they were young and then nurture that. I knew, like, for example, Sinead was really into music, but I also noticed she was a lyricist. She could come up with a song in like a minute. And I said, although I know you want to more probably be like Adele or Sia, I remember going to her one day, like, I think you're suited really for rap. Because she was also writing these rap battles for our channel, but then she was kind of like, oh, that's for the channel though. I'm going to sing. But then I was just like, why don't you try, getting into that? And of course, because she was so good at it, she just really just exploded. And to now where she, like she said, she's getting these opportunities for like mainstream things. And like even with Shasha, for another example, just seeing her exercise from the time she was young, way before we even got on YouTube.
Teaching herself how
just stretching and stretching.
She had a 6-pack at 6 years old. She had a 6-pack.
And then she taught herself gymnastics. And then we were like, you know what? We should enroll her in the gymnastics class. She did it all on her own, just watching YouTube videos and practicing on her own. When she got into the class, she was at the top. That wasn't for me and her. I don't know how to do this place. I don't know how to do any gymnastics. So I was like, how did she do that? And she just learned on her own.
That's
and then
amazing.
Of course, Shalom is constantly doodling from the time she was young. She was constantly doodling little characters and making little stories with the characters. And Shiloh has been a gamer from the get-go. So it's who they are.
Yes.
Wow. So pretty much what you're saying is that you kind of notice these I guess these interests, right, in each one of the children and et cetera, and then you guys kind of like double down on it and kind of just supported them on these initiatives and things like that, and then incorporated those also with the show and YouTube and things like that. And now you've built like this foundation where you can kind of leverage that and just kind of venture off and do your own kind of things and and start being building your own little entrepreneurs as well, right? So this is kind of like the direction you guys are kind of going. I think like what do you guys feel is next for you guys as a family in general, and like how long do you think you guys will kind of do the whole YouTube thing before you guys like all venture off into your own separate worlds?
Well, for me, my thought on that is that it's much easier to build a legacy together. Mirthell, what is that proverbs that you always say?
Oh yeah, so one of my favorite African proverbs is, if you want to go faster, go alone. But if you want to go further, go together. And that's just one of my favorite African proverbs I always share.
Right.
With them.
And I look at family businesses, and I would never hold anybody to doing something that they didn't want to do. And that's why I'm also very, very intent on making sure that whatever they are doing within the family business is something they naturally want to do. So my goal is to foster an environment where they can continue to be their unique self inside of a family environment where we can continue to work and build a family business that they can even pass on to the next generation. Because I've always wanted to be like some of these families, like let's say like, well, I don't even want to say names because they're in the news, but there are certain families that are famous for working together, and they go back from generations and even hundreds of years. Some of these families, and we weren't given this opportunity in this country to build that kind of wealth for most people of color, especially Black people. So I want to now instill that kind of family sort of legacy. Yes, family legacy for our family. So I don't envision them necessarily going off and doing. I just look at it more as branches of the overall. And so far, they're all on it. Again, I don't know the future, but I do know that I think that the way that we have all talked and the way that we've all studied this thing, we've seen like the proverb says, we're going to go a lot further if we stay together. And I think they've even seen it because, right, when you even look on the news and you do see the Kardashians or you do see other people, you see that separately they do their own things, but together they're like, it's an amazing thing that they all have together.
Right.
And ours is completely different, but it is who we are in our way. That's what we want to do with our family.
And we love to hear when the kids say to each other, oh, you know what? We'll live close by and we were homeschooled, we loved it, so we're going to homeschool our kids together. So, you know, everybody's thinking as they branch out and as they leave the home and as they start their own lives, they still want to be together, having family together. So we like to hear that.
Yeah, that's definitely amazing. I can definitely understand like how, you know, you could look at some of these other platforms for inspiration and stuff like that and learn from them from, you know, kind of the positive things that they've kind of, you know, put themselves out to do. Obviously, if you look at the Kardashians, you can see a lot of positive things they have done and
Yes.
built
Yes.
a billion-dollar empire. I have friends that, you know, were their publicists and things like that. And, you know, we're on the original Kardashian brandings and things like that. So I definitely understand how they've kind of done things. And coincidentally, some of those people actually represent Ray J, which is odd. But it's just it's a small network in the industry. Everybody kind of works and have, you know, especially once you get to a certain tier, everybody kind of works together, you know, and does business together. So you always got to make sure you don't burn bridges, right? You're pretty nice and respectful to everyone.
And it's a great example that family is not perfect. Our family is definitely not perfect. But the best part about families is that we embrace each other's imperfections and that we grow through adversity. And so one of the things that I love about the Kardashians is that they continue to foster togetherness and growing through adversity. And it's a really positive message to send to the world. And we want to continue on that kind of family legacy, showing people, listen, you don't have to be perfect. You know, none of us are. So let's stop playing. You know, we're not perfect, but we certainly can love one another. We can show acceptance to one another. And remember what I was saying, like that inner thing that is put inside of each one of us, honor that, you know, and love who that other person is. And I think those are the kind of examples that we need to show the world. Let's not learn to reject. Let's learn to accept, and let's learn to love and embrace.
Wow, amazing. And Rita, I'd like to ask you a question. What do you think is Mirthell's like superpower?
Mirthell, oh, definitely he's inspirational. He has something about him that it just draws people to him, because I always tell people that this is actually pre-COVID when we would go out a whole lot more. But if there was someone that needed money, they would like literally walk past me and go straight to him. And it didn't matter where we were. And I even was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to look really nice and smile. But you know what? It didn't matter. They would always go to him. I'm telling you, it didn't matter where we were. It happened every single time. If we were traveling in another country, in another state, it just would always happen. And
Wow.
I just was like, there's a spirit in him where people are drawn and they feel like this man will help me. So that same spirit also, I feel, is very inspirational. He's always told me, and I remember we got in an argument about this when we were years ago. I said, you need a hobby. What do you like to do for fun? He's like, I like to help people. And I'm like, that's not a hobby, okay? A hobby is like birding or something like that. He's like, no, I like to help people. But what it did was, though, we were able to have a branch of our business that is very, very charity focused. So, and we don't mean like giving to just like, like Red Cross or something. I'm talking about what we do as a family to help, whether that is helping tuition for our alma mater, but even other colleges. We've been able to help people with their businesses, help people with their personal financial problems. We've been able to invest even with a project with an old church member who is actually trying to help people in Zimbabwe with getting the resources that they need. And it goes on. And we love to do that. And I felt like I was a giving person before I met him, but definitely he changed my life, because I'm just way different now. And I think that's his superpower.
And Mirthell, what would you say about Rita?
Rita's superpower, I've always told her this. She is super intelligent and she has a thirst for knowledge. And so she will just, no matter what it is, and from one day, she'll just be like, I got to tell you about the ocean. So the next one it is, do you know about the planets and all these things? So what you see her coming to YouTube with and researching algorithms and all these things, she'll go to wealth building. She will go to YouTube. She will go to astronomy. She will go to biography, whatever. And then she needs to share it. So she constantly is gathering information and sharing information with others. And so I'd say that's her superpower. Like, just, she gives, but her giving is of a different nature. She draws in as much as she can and then gives the information to others.
Right. I definitely see a lot of the things that you guys mentioned through our conversation so far. I definitely see that you guys have great self-awareness of like who you guys are and what are your superpowers, which is, it's amazing. A lot of people don't know that. They walk through life with, I don't know what I want to do, or who am I, or, you know, what I'm good at and things like that. But I think a lot of things block them as fair of, you know, really doing what they really want to do and thinking that people won't accept them for it. You know, you guys are, I think I read that you guys are, somebody has Jamaican heritage. Is that correct?
Oh, that's me. That's both my parents are from Jamaica.
Oh, wow. Jamaica. Wow. And they moved to Toronto, Drake City.
Yeah. So they migrated to Toronto way back in, my mom first in the 70s. My dad migrated to the States because that's just who would accept them. And then eventually they made their way back to each other in Canada.
Why did they move from Jamaica?
Hard life, hard life in Jamaica. And, you know, they wanted to start over new. So my dad, he moved to New York at first. My mom tried to get to New York, but couldn't get to New York, but got the opportunity to go to Toronto. And since New York and Toronto borders, Ontario borders, he was able to be in school and then travel down into Ontario to visit her. And I was a product of, my sister was a product of those visits, and I became a product of those visits.
Right.
And eventually, immigration worked out, and they were able to be together. So that's it. And yeah, it was, and so they taught me that sometimes you got to move and you got to go through some hard things in order to get to where you need to be. So.
Right. And how do you think some of that upbringing, helped you with bringing up your family, even your relationship with your wife?
Well, for one thing, we're movers. So when it came time to move from Toronto, while I was very settled and I liked my career and things, the time was right to move. And I had to do something that I may not have been as completely comfortable. And I'm sure the move from Jamaica wasn't comfortable for my parents, but sometimes you just got to move, and you can't always be settled in a comfortable spot.
Right.
So sometimes, like, people talk about burning bridges, but sometimes you got to burn a bridge or burn your ship in order to get something accomplished that you need to do. So, the stories that we hear about captains who are fighting a battle and
right.
to give their men the absolute drive to fight with all their might, they had to burn the bridge or burn the ship. So it's like, hey, you either die or you win this. And that's what gave them the courage to win, because they burned the ship. And I think a lot of people, they're so comfortable in their 9-to-5, or they're so comfortable in their hometown, or they're so comfortable with their previous successes,
right,
that they're like, ooh, we're successful with superheroes. Let's just stay here. Ooh, we're so successful with YouTube. Let's just stay there. Or we're so no, you gotta sometimes burn a good thing in order to give yourself that drive to go for something better.
Right. I think what you're touching on is really just, putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, and that's what triggers us to basically grow, which is something I've seen in my life, and many other people that I've seen become successful before they weren't, just regular people, didn't have millions of followers and things like that, or weren't celebrities. I've seen a lot of different people go through that. I remember meeting Tiger in the mall in Northridge, and he was walking around with a couple of nerdy guys, and he was like, he thought he was a rapper, and I was working in the mall at the time in LA and Northridge, and he would just walk through all the time, and we used to laugh. I was like, who's that guy? And they're like, oh, he thinks he's a rapper. He's always trying to sell his mixtapes. And
wow.
I would see him all the time. I would just kind of laugh, and people because he would wear these really baggy pants, and he thought he was a celebrity before he was, right? He thought he was before he was. And so it was just funny. A lot of people laughed, and, they're not laughing anymore, and it's just, it's a coincidence of how you see different people come from 0 to 1, even I've ran through into G-Eazy, the rapper, before he was a big rapper a couple of years back, around the 2015 era, when you guys had first started this show. And he believed that he was going to be something, but he had really great management who really supported him. I remember after I met him, I was like, man, I don't know how far this guy's going to go, because when he got on the microphone, he really just didn't, he kept on saying, I was like, oh man, this guy's not going anywhere. I don't know. Yeah. So it's ironic of how you see certain people actually do different things. And I know there was one girl that used to host some of my red carpets in LA, and now she's like one of the top, like, Instagram and Vine stars originally and things like that. And now she's got like about 5 million followers and things like that. Her name's Leanne V. She makes a lot of money doing this. And I think she's married to engaged to a model now, and things like that. So life is going great. So it's interesting to see how people have kind of like shifted things towards social media and became stars, like the Logan guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
That-
Shift to boxing and
Podcasting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing what these guys are doing. These guys they're breaking records. It's crazy. I'm not the biggest fan, but I've got friends who, helped one of them train and stuff like that before their fights and things like that. But it's interesting to see people just kind of like switch from, this I'm not really doing much into something that, people might have not believed in, into some superstars right now. And with all, you mentioned Movers, I don't know if this is a new reggae band that you're going to start with the family, Mirthell and the Movers. I don't know if that no, she could be.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave that to someone else.
Yeah. And who has the Irish descent?
That's also me.
Listen.
That's also me.
So explain that, like Jamaica, the Irish descent.
So my grandfather is Ernest Finnegan, and his family migrated from Ireland. And so when you look at the Finnegans in Jamaica, that's how they got there. They migrated from Ireland, and then they began to marry the natives.
Right.
So my grandfather, that's from my grandfather's side, on my mom's side. So I kind of share that story. I've shared that story with other people about. In fact, that's how I found out that I was related to Kamala Harris.
Whoa, wait, back up. What?
So I'm related to Kamala Harris, and so when a lot of people thought that when we were invited to the inauguration, they thought maybe it's because I'm related to Kamala, but it was our little secret. So when we were there doing our thing, she doesn't know. I still don't think she knows the close connection between how I'm related to her.
Right.
But when their team called us, it's kind of like our little funny secret. Like, does she even know that we're closely related? But it's through her father. So her father so my mother, her father is cousins with his mother.
Wow, like first cousins?
So me and Kamala share the same. Her grandmother is my grandfather's cousin.
Oh, wow.
So my mother used to go to Kamala's grandmother's house all the time when she was a young kid in Jamaica.
Wow.
With her father. And so she tells me the stories about that and everything. So we're very proud of that. We're very proud to know. And that was through the Finnegan line. That's through the Finnegan line.
Wow. Wait, so through the Finnegan line is how you guys are related?
Right. So my mother's a Finnegan. That's her maiden name. Her father is Ernest Finnegan.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, her grandmother was also born a Finnegan, but through a different Finnegan. So it was Joseph Finnegan and
Kamala's grandmother.
Kamala's grandmother, right?
Wow.
So Kamala's grandmother is born into the Finnegan family, and if you look on all of her father, Kamala's father's memoirs, his grandmother's name is Iris Finnegan. She's a Black Jamaican native that married to a Finnegan, just like how my grandfather married a native, which was Amelia, my mom's mother. So we're related through the Finnegan line.
So is it through blood or is it through marriage?
It's through blood.
Oh,
because my grandfather, my own grandfather, is a Finnegan, and Kamala's own grandfather, her mother is a Finnegan, and her great grandfather was from that lineage of Finnegans.
Which was a collaboration of Irish and Jamaican
natives. Yeah.
That's wild. And like any relation to Bob Marley, since we're on this, No Rasta man?
Bob Marley. But
I think his dad was like English, right?
What's his name again?
Who?
Harry Belafonte. There's a relation there too.
Huh? That's a small world. So it's like, You know, I mean, did you grow up any in Jamaica at all? Like did you visit it? Like,
No, I didn't. I was born and raised in Toronto, so these
So-
are all stories from my relatives of who they know and their interactions. And
so
things
no
like that.
Jamaican beef patties or anything else like that?
Oh, I love
Okay,
Jamaican
well,
food.
you know.
I love to fix it. But me personally, I wasn't born in Jamaica, so I don't get to claim that. But everyone around me, my sister was born there, my brother, man, everybody, my mom, my dad, my grandmothers, everybody,
Wait,
many
I
of my
didn't know that.
cousins. Yeah, so I was the only one that was born in Canada.
Yeah, that's so interesting. In the whole Kamala Harris type of thing, that is awesome. That is awesome. Have you tried reaching out to her?
No, I don't. I don't know if she'd be even
He
interested.
looked crazy.
Right, because then now I'm gonna have to explain all these things, and her people are probably like, nah,
Yeah,
nah.
like no.
So,
Right.
It's funny though, but like I said, it's funny. You don't really have to reach out because opportunities get drawn to you, and
Right,
when
the target.
because when you're a target,
Green lighting. I hear you, man. That's amazing stuff. I think that's a small world if you start looking at things, and I think that kind of went back to what I was talking about earlier. I don't know. This is amazing. Anybody interesting? Rita, you're related to who? What? Which one? Barack Obama. What's going on?
No, that's not true.
Who am I related to?
Your grandfather, he's a major
Oh, well,
league baseball
I thought you
player.
meant like a famous person I'm related to.
Well,
Wow.
he was
That's pretty-
he is a major league baseball player, a black
I
major
thought-
league baseball player back when
before any of my
blacks were being
family sees this,
integrated.
what I thought was any am I related to like a president or somebody? No. But yes, my grandfather used to play Major League Baseball for the Houston Astros and the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the 50s and the 60s. So definitely that's our claim to fame.
Awesome. So Toronto, and then we have LA.
Yeah, I was born and raised in LA. On my dad's side, they're Panamanian.
Ah,
But my mom, she's fully African American, originally from North Carolina, but then I was born and raised in LA.
awesome. So you're Latina.
Basically, yeah.
You're Latina.
I
Jamaican,
my first,
Latina. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, my first language when I was younger, they thought, okay, let's make sure she speaks Spanish. So I actually spoke Spanish before I even spoke English.
Call her
And then I
Tita.
went to school and then basically almost forgot everything. So I was like, why didn't I just and it's like funny you mentioned Northridge. That's where I was born and basically raised right there.
Wow, that is a small. So you went through the whole Northridge earthquake.
Oh yeah. I tell them that all the time. And when they're like, how we're going back to LA, I always tell them, okay, this is what we gotta do, this is how we get ready. And they don't understand how bad it was and that, but I always have to like tell them and remind them like earthquakes don't just feel like, a little bouncy thing. Like it destroyed our whole neighborhood, like that kind of a thing.
Went to
Wow.
school in Glendale. So
Yeah, the Armenians had to be mad for sure. Yeah. That's crazy. Wow. So you guys had this amazing journey, and you guys met in college. Like, what was the magnet to you guys, meeting? Like, how did it happen?
I don't know. It just I went there specifically to find a wife because I was
He was 2 years ahead of me. He's 4 years older than me, but he was 2 years ahead of me. So we went to a dinner, and like I was actually not even about to go to this dinner after church one weekend, and my roommate was like, "No, Rita, come on. I've met these people, and they're really fun." It was just him and his friends, and there was a bunch of people there. And we just kind of like started talking, and then from there, it was just that was it.
After that, we had a conversation on the phone, and I think it was all night. It was hours, and we just kept on talking about just things about our past and spirituality and our faith and how we resonated over our concept of our relationship with God. And that was it. I was just like, this is my wife. And now 23 years later.
So would you say? Oh no, finish.
That our dad wanted us to experience the same thing.
That's why I wanted them to go to school, because I'm like, I want that. Go meet a Mirthell.
But hey, as you just said, green lighting, right? You're the target, right? So,
right.
I think that's really interesting that you guys just like met through. Do you believe, Mirthell, that And Rita, like, do you believe that when you meet this person, you just know? Is this like because how long did it take you guys to just know?
Man, I knew after that
Right away.
conversation, I knew.
I knew right away.
I
Wow.
do feel I really do.
There's this other guy that was like going after her at the time, and she was just like, that this person is trying to like get in there. I was like, yeah, he ain't got it.
That confidence, right? You gotta have it. He wasn't doing anything.
All me right here, because I knew from from very very early that this was a woman for me, and that was it for me.
Aw.
And we met in January, and we got married that same year. We didn't play around. Like, it didn't take long for us to know.
Wow. So you were right? So I mean that's obvious, right? 4 kids later. That's amazing.
Yes, and 4 kids later.
So what do you think the key to, if you had to give other people advice, what is the key to, having, finding that right person, a successful marriage, and, raising children? What would you guys give, the audience?
Things in common, probably. I think, the things that we
Our
had,
faith.
it's not like we don't have things that are not in common, because it's funny, me being of a West Indian background and her being of an African American background, you would think, okay, 2 Black people, oh, it's gonna work. They're both Black, but culturally speaking, there's different cultures that are at play, and so we do have our differences, but the core things that really matter to us, like I said, when we talked and we resonated on the most important figure in our life, which was God, and I noticed that the way that she sees God and the way I see God really meshed. Well, if God is the most important person to me and God is the most important person to her, then who's going to keep us together is the common person that is both most important to us. And so I think our faith has really made it work. I mean, we've had challenges, they've had to go through several arguments and conversations, and
Because
so,
we really grew up. I was
Right.
19 when I got married.
Right.
And it was kind of great,
Wow.
so.
yeah, and we met when she was 18, so she just turned 19. So
Yeah.
it's like we've been married technically since she's like around 18,
Teenager.
19, like a teenager. So
Wow.
and now we're in our 40s. So, they had to grow up with us. Just imagine, like 18 or 19, and you're with a 19-year-old mom or a 20-year-old father. You're
Yeah.
growing up. Shalom is growing up
Shalom was
watching.
born a year later. I was at 20 when I was 20. So
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
Married a year after that. So they were really with us, like by the time like they're 20, she'll be 22 and she'll be 21 this year. And I already had 2 kids by then.
Right. And she had all our kids in her 20s. So it's like, they've watched us go through school together. So they moved
Yes.
to school. So when I'm getting my master's, they're already around. I'm bringing them to my Greek and Hebrew class, one in one arm, one in a stroller. And all my friends in class are just laughing, like, this guy is like doing Hebrew, or
At the
Greek
seminary, yeah.
at the seminary with his children while she's pregnant with Shasha, delivers Shasha right after her last final examinations in one of her classes. So literally, our kids are growing up with us. We're teenagers, we're 20s, we're all growing up together. So yeah.
It's been an experience.
That is amazing. So what were the top, things that you guys found that, that would be deal breakers or things that would kind of gravitate or make you guys kind of stick together? Like, what were the top priorities that you guys wanted to find out of each other when it came to that relationship? Because you said you knew, right?
Oh, yeah. I feel like it was, for me, I felt like I wanted a family of my own. I grew up kind of like an only child. I was raised by my grandparents. And so for me, when I met him, I just knew that it was my opportunity to start my own family. And this sense of a family that I'm trying to foster is something because I did not have that. I really did not have that in the sense where I had my siblings. I have a bunch of, I hate that term, half, because, you can't just like half my sibling and half not. But I have siblings in, like, my parents both, they never were married, but they have both been in stable marriages from almost the time I was born, but never
Wow.
together. So I have siblings from there, but I was raised with my grandparents. So I never felt like, it's like my grandmother is like my mom. I call her my mom. And she's my mom, but for all intents and purposes, I never felt like I had that mom and dad and sisters and brothers, and I wanted my family to feel that. So through all the challenges, it was about perseverance. It was about doing this for, for them as well, keeping it together despite the ups and the downs, just to give them an experience that I did not have. And I'm grateful that they got to be raised in a very different way. I love my grandmother and I love how I was raised, but I just wanted something different for my children.
Wow. Mirthell?
For me, it was. I mean, she's beautiful, obviously. Like she literally was like everything that I wanted to see in a woman, and I think I would be disingenuous as a man to not say that mattered to me.
Right.
When I saw her, I was just like, wow. So that was a very attractive. But like I said, the first conversation was that she was not just brains and she was not just beauty, but her heart belonged to God, and my heart belonged to God, and that was it for me. A beautiful woman, which caught my eye,
Right.
and now her heart belongs to God, and we can resonate in the same like manner as to how we have that relationship. I didn't want to be with anyone that I respect everybody's relationship with God. So whether you don't believe in God to the spectrum of, whatever your particulars are about God, I respect anyone's decision around God. But I needed to find somebody that had the same way that I was with my understanding with God, and she was that. And so it gave me the permission to say, well, if the most important relationship to me is my relationship with God, and that's to you, and we think the same way, we're going to be okay, because between God and us, someone is going to come and rescue us. Someone's going to come. Well, the times where I'm frustrated or the times she's frustrated, the spirit intervenes at some given time and say, hey, I'm the third party in this thing. So get my opinion on this before you move on, or before you make any major moves. And we both respect that spirit.
And were you guys, originally starting off in the same, religion? Like, were you both like, okay, what would you guys say that religion is?
That was Seventh-day Adventist. We were Seventh-day Adventist Christians.
Ah, what is that?
Seventh-day Adventist is, we believe that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. So that's what makes us Christian.
Right.
But what is distinguishing factors with the Seventh-day Adventist is that we keep the Sabbath. So we keep Friday to Saturday, which is the same Sabbath that Jesus kept. We basically keep that same Sabbath, and those are that's probably one of the distinguishing things about our religion. There are some other things that are different, but those are the distinguishing things. We don't always herald that, because just Christianity on a whole is I personally don't think that Christians are doing a very good job at being Christians. Gandhi got some. And Gandhi once says, I don't have a problem with Christians. I don't have a problem with Christ. He said, I have a problem with Christians. And so It's not necessarily something that we're just like always like, hey, I'm a Christian or I'm Seventh-day Adventist. I think that number one, I'm a child of God. That's who I am. I am a child of God. And I have a high respect and love and adoration for Christ and how Christ lived. So
amazing.
So that's what I am. If I were to be truthful to you, I identify as somebody that Christ is Lord of my life. And I could probably just stop right there and not say anything else, like as Adventist or Christian or anything like that.
And Rita, did you grow up like that as well, or like?
Yeah, we both grew up in very conservative Seventh-day Adventist Christian households. So some of those things you might see now, like I don't know, I'm just more of I'm just a plain person. You don't really see a bunch of earrings and stuff. That's just how I am. But
nothing wrong with that.
At the end of the day, though, I've evolved into where I fit in. And I think all Christians and people of faith, even if you're not a Christian, I don't think two people you can be both Adventist or both Christian or both even Muslim or whatever. You're not going to always, your version of it is not going to look like maybe the other person's.
Right.
So for us, we had to do what felt right for us and our family and how we live our life, so it might look different, especially in COVID. Like when we grew up, we went to church every single Saturday.
Wow.
We went to prayer meeting every week. And, for our family, it's been different from the get-go. It's been the way we do things has just been different.
A lot online.
Yeah, online stuff and listening to people of other faiths and other denominations and being fed spiritually through a lot of different ways. So that's a little bit different for us versus, let's say, our traditional upbringing.
Awesome. Amazing. So, guys, I wanted to ask you, like, what's next for you guys as well? Like, are you guys like planning on, getting onto a network with this? Are like, what's the next direction for this? Like, are you guys not trying to do, I mean, the Kardashians are over, what's going on?
You know what? We're open to any opportunity that really comes our way, honestly. I'm the type of mother, I've never really had the kids go on audition after audition after audition. I feel our YouTube channel and who we are, our podcasts, everything, that's our audition in life. So if you like who we are, you like what you see, and I'm not saying like if there was some sort of role that they're like, can you play this particular character? And someone said, we need you to audition for that, I would do that. That's different.
We just don't stand in the lines.
But yeah, I just, if the opportunity is something that someone says, I see this family and I think they'd be a good fit, I'm very open to opportunities. So right now, currently with the cartoon and then the ONYX family dinner, I mean, that's what we have initially, and then
a few other opportunities are in the works, but
yeah,
we don't want to talk about it right now, but
So you guys haven't reached out to other networks or anything else like that, like Nickelodeon or just any of these networks? You guys haven't reached out to them yet? I don't know if you can say that.
It's funny.
They've reached out to us.
We've done a lot of brand deals with all sorts of companies, and I think that you start to foster that relationship, as you grow. And I know how things work in Hollywood. It takes a long time, and it has to be that right, I think, combination of timing and age, everything. So I'm just more of the type that we're patient. We'll see where we end up landing, because I think that there's a lot of opportunity, especially with all these platforms that have come out like HBO and Netflix. There's always people now needing more content. Right. So we'll see where that takes us. And
we love to get those phone calls, where the opportunities come to us. That's just a part of the excitement with our family. We don't just generally stand in line. Usually the opportunity comes to us, and we love to take the phone calls. And they're fun.
Thing is, what we do as a family, though, is we see every single way that we can be a part of it to make a success. Because one thing we didn't mention was, even with the cartoon and the scripts, our daughter Shalom, she was able to write a few of those scripts for each season. And I thought, that's what we like to do. So if you have me and my daughter writing the theme song, and then my daughter writing 24 other songs, you have another daughter doing the scripts, not some of them. And then you've got us all doing all the voiceover work. Like, that's the type of family we are. We love to just be involved and have fun, because, life is short. And we don't want to limit ourselves. Even if we've never tried anything, we're open, and we just want to make sure that we do our best, but we also have fun.
Awesome. So what would you guys like to tell, those out there who are listening, about life in general, and any type of like inspiration or recommendations you can give others who are, wanting to get out of the typical workforce and, explore YouTube and things like that, or their dreams in general? What would you guys say?
You guys?
Yeah, we can go through everybody. I would like to hear what everyone would say. Like, I would love to hear the honors.
I would say that, like what Mom said, life is very short. If you have a dream, go for it. The thing is, I wouldn't say, go and quit your day job and then just go and just live off of your savings and everything. I wouldn't say that, but I would say that you have a lot of extra free time sometimes. Sometimes you're scrolling on your phone and stuff, but you're consuming. But you should be, in that time you're consuming, instead produce whatever the thing that you want to do, whether you want to be a fashion designer, or you want to be on YouTube, or maybe you just want to change careers, but you don't know when to start. And you're like, man, I just don't like the career I'm in. I'm going to change my career. Even little things like that. Go out and do it, because life is short, and you see life through your own eyes. You got to make sure that what you're seeing is what you want to see.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to add to that, because in my head, I still feel like sometimes I'm in my 20s. It's just like, you may be getting older, but I see now, like, wow, time has gone by so fast. I don't want to have any more regrets. I want to make sure that I'm doing and living the life that I try to live as much as possible, because I don't know if anybody ever gets everything they want.
Right.
But you know what? You might as well go for it. You know, we always say
Yeah.
shoot for the stars and you hit the moon.
Yeah.
And on another end though too, I would say that, remember, I think earlier on in our conversation we were talking about that leap of faith.
Right.
And that didn't even start with just YouTube. We could be on this podcast another 4 hours telling you all the things way before YouTube that we made leaps of faith in before we even had kids.
Yep.
Even when we were even single, we didn't even know each other. Through
leap of faith of
marriage,
marriage.
there's so many things that we did that was against the grain, and it just took faith. And we have seen tremendous blessings through it. And so that what it did was it geared us towards when we needed to do it all over again, which then translated into our entertainment or our multimedia brand. We were able to do that. So the advice I would give people is start exercising that faith muscle, even with the smaller things in your life, even with the things that have nothing to do with money or fame. Just start exercising that faith muscle, and you will start to get better and better and better at what we call taking risks, but really is just acting on faith, and you're going to see the blessings in your life.
Awesome. And where would you tell guys to, people out there to, go, find you guys individually and what you guys are all working on?
Oh man, ONYXFamily.com is where we kind of put everything there.
Yes.
I know our brands, who we've worked with in the past, all of our upcoming projects, books, our magazine, everything.
So everything that you guys are working on, you guys push it out through the YouTube channel itself. Is that correct?
On our YouTube channel and the actual website ONYXFamily.com.
And you guys also have a podcast. Is that correct too?
Yes, we do. The Onyx Life.
And that is also, you can get that through onyxfamily.com, and you can get our podcast through that.
And some books also on Amazon and things like that, and some cartoons and things like that.
And then there's a portal on onyxfamily.com that gets directly to our books. So if you hit books, it takes you directly to Amazon.
Right. And there's a portion where you can hit the cartoon and it'll take you to the cartoon.
Portion, if you want coaching, takes you to coaching. You know, everything comes off of our website, so that when you press it, you can go to every one of our Instagrams, our TikTok. Everything is like right there.
Brilliant. Well, thank you guys so much for showing up on the actual show. It's been an amazing lesson. I've learned a lot from you guys. It's been fun. You guys are awesome. So I think
thank you so much.
And we love your energy.
Yeah,
great energy.
Definitely. This has been amazing. I feel like we've learned a lot from you too. Just I think it's been one of our more unique interviews that we've done.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Same here for me. I think you guys have a lot going on. I think you guys are sincere. I think that the authenticity is like, it's there, right? And I think as long as you guys keep on, going where you guys are going, and and learning from trials and tribulations, and a lot of the analytical mindset there, and the passion, inspiration, the creativity there, back in their family and stuff like that. You guys keep on embracing yourself. I think you guys are just like, I don't know, man. I think you guys are headed for the stars for sure, if you're not already there.
Thank you.
Yeah, but thank you guys again. Yes.
Alrighty.
All
right. Take care.
Yes.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kids in the Room podcast.
That's right.
Brought to you by Move Faces TV. Let's go.